Hey everyone, I picked up a OnePlus 8 Pro over the holidays and I thought I would share my thoughts on it. In this video I'm comparing it to my Pixel 3 XL, but I also did pick up a Pixel 4a 5G and I'll be sharing my thoughts and compare it to the 8 Pro in an upcoming video. Specs are pretty impressive with this phone, more specifically the IN 2025 US version. It has a Snapdragon 865, 12 gigs of internal RAM, 256 gigs of UFS 3.0 storage, 4 rear-facing cameras, a 6.78-inch 3168 by 1440 QHD plus 120Hz AMOLED curved display, 30-watt warp charging, Wi-Fi 6, 4,510 mAh battery, as well as 5G connectivity. The 4 rear cameras consist of a 48-megapixel f1.78 main camera, a 48-megapixel f2.2 wide-angle camera, an 8-megapixel f2.44 telephoto camera, and a 5-megapixel f2.4 color filter camera. The main 48-megapixel camera does have optical image stabilization, and there's also a front-facing camera that is 16 megapixels with the f2.45 aperture. Let's take a look and see what's inside the box. As usual, the phone is on top, and underneath there's a plastic case that comes with the phone, which is a nice touch. And underneath the case you get a USB A to C cable and this 30-watt warp charging adapter. There's also a few pieces of documentation as well as a SIM tray tool. I purchased the 8 Pro in Onyx Black, which looks very nice but is sure a fingerprint magnet. And I would recommend using a case with the phone to avoid getting a lot of fingerprints and scratches on the phone. Luckily there's a screen protector included, but it is rather thin and doesn't last long. The plastic case is thin and fits the phone well, but don't expect it to save your phone from a drop. However, this is a nice touch and I wish other cell phone manufacturers would include a phone case with their phones. On the left side of the phone, there's volume buttons, and on the right side a slider switch to put the phone in vibrate or silent mode, as well as a power button below it. You can also see that the SIM card tray has a rubber seal, which is part of the 8 Pro's IP68 water resistant rating. Interestingly, the phone has a feature called dual channel network acceleration, which seems to take Wi-Fi and cellular data and leverage both for maximum network speed and performance. I feel like in most situations, however, this isn't necessary, but it's still a nice feature that this phone has to offer. For anyone new to OnePlus phones, it uses its own version of Oxygen OS, which is for the most part a pretty vanilla Android experience, but at the same time offers a lot of customization unlike Google Pixel phones. I think that with Oxygen OS you get the best of both worlds. Software upgrades are promised for a total of 3 years, which is nice, but software upgrades do seem to lag a little bit behind Google Pixel devices. However, OnePlus seems to do a lot better with software updates than other competitors, which is definitely good. There's an in-screen optical fingerprint scanner, and this is my first time using one. Accuracy is pretty decent, but I still prefer the fingerprint sensor on the back of the Pixel phones. Camera performance is pretty good, and I did install Gcam on the phone to see if there was a difference between the stock camera app and Gcam. It turns out that there are scenarios where the built-in camera capture app works well, but if this phone had Gcam installed and optimized from the manufacturer, the camera would be so much better. One thing I didn't like, however, was that I couldn't assign Gcam as a default camera app, which means that when double pressing the power button, the only camera app I could use was the built-in one. I think the most impressive camera feature for the 8 Pro, however, is macro mode. I wish macro mode was adopted onto more phones than just the 8 Pro. The phone did prompt me for a couple of software updates, which took a while to download since the first one is almost 3 gigs in size, and the second one was a little over 400 megabytes in size. But at least it bumped the phone software up from Android 10 to 11, and included quite a few enhancements and bug fixes. The QHD Plus 120Hz AMOLED screen is amazing. One can definitely notice the difference between 60Hz and 120Hz. Motion graphic smoothing is also nice, and I didn't notice it glitch at all. The only thing that I didn't really like about the screen is that it's curved and seems to cause accidental touches, but was very minimal for me. The phone is very fast and didn't have any delay for a very smooth experience. I personally don't play games on phones much these days and didn't run any benchmarks for the phone. However, I'm sure it will perform just as well as other flagships on the market. It also didn't seem to get excessively hot, but I also wasn't doing anything that was processor or graphics intensive. The stereo speakers are quite good and get quite loud and sound fuller than my Pixel 3 XL. Speaker placement is similar to a lot of other phones, with the top speaker placed under the top grill, and the bottom speaker comes out the bottom right of the phone to the right of the USB port. Warp charging is awesome when you need it, but I think personally I would only use it when I'm in a hurry just because I'm worried that the phone's battery life will be reduced if this is done too often. So what are my thoughts about this phone overall? It's honestly a great phone, and considering how much technology is packed into this beast, battery life is actually quite exceptional. Even though this is my first time using Oxygen OS, I like it a lot and doesn't seem to be as buggy as other manufacturers' versions of Android. Some things I didn't like, however, as I mentioned earlier, is the optical fingerprint reader on the 8 Pro wasn't as accurate as the fingerprint reader on my Pixel 3 XL. Could not get my old USB DAC to work, which is honestly a crapshoot and depends on your phone. The fact that it's a fingerprint magnet and how heavy the phone is. I know some people prefer the heavier phone, but not me. There are other minor things that I'm used to with Pixel phones that I miss, such as the Now Playing feature, which tells you what song is playing at any given time. Having the volume and power buttons on the same side for when you're using the phone one-handed. Gcam being the native camera app, and things just working on the Pixel, such as the USB DAC that I have. Don't get me wrong, however, the combination of the battery life, speed, smoothness, the screen, the camera in most situations, and its macro mode, 30-watt fast charging are all very nice features to have on a phone. And I'm really just nitpicking about small things that probably won't affect the normal user. Also, the amount of customizability on this phone is insane, and features such as the canvas wallpaper is pretty freaking awesome. At the price of $799, I think this phone is definitely worth the price. However, I decided to get the Pixel 4a 5G. Why? I guess you'll just have to see in the next video. I know the OnePlus 8 Pro has been out for quite a while, but I thought it would still be worth sharing my thoughts and experiences with it. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.